County Commissioners to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could remain standing for just a moment, I'd like to keep our prayers, say a few words to ourselves and keep our prayers for all the people that have been lost in those terrible floods down in Texas. And here locally, I just want to say we have John Dolgus, who is out front, and is our security guard out front here, whose son fought a real battle with cancer. And we'd like to applaud him. I think he's getting ready to take his last treatment before he starts his senior year. Keep that young man in your prayers. Thank you very much. And by the way, he's doing really good. His prayers must have worked because he's doing a great job. This is his last one and he's done, which I guess it's more of a celebration than anything. First of all, we have our consent items. For those I always like to say, for those that don't know what these consent items are, they're items that actually we have discussed and just needs a motion to approve them. We have our regular session minutes dated July 15th, 2025. We have our liquor minutes dated July 15th, 2025. Greenwill Consulting Group, LLC, agreement renewal, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. We have, under information technology, we have a request to purchase FY 2026 PC refresh devices and approve the vendor. Under Kent Family Center, we have to accept an acceptance of community-based child abuse prevention supplemental funding award. Number 6 is the Office of Emergency Services. We have 911 Center Kitchen Refresh Project funding request. And under Public Works, we have Eadsville Park Renovations Playground Specialist Incorporated proposal 32214D. Public Works, Wharton Park Baseball Fields Renovations, KC Grounds Maintenance Proposals, and the last but not least, under Water and Wastewater Division, we have Water and Sewer Allocation Request and Public Works Agreement, Howard and Robin Bauer. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, sir.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve all 9 of the consent items as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we have 2 special Class C licenses. The first one is Betterton Community Development Corporation, as requested, a beer, wine, and liquor for August 1st and 2nd, 2025. Due to the fact that these are alcoholic beverage requests, they're in need of a public hearing. We'll allow today to be that public hearing. So anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this application, please feel free to do so. There being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for a liquor license for the Betterton Community Development Corporation, beer, wine, and liquor for August 1st and 2nd.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we have singles on sailboats. I have applied for a beer, wine, and liquor license for August the 16th, 2025. Same thing goes. This is due to this being an application for alcohol. It's in need of a public hearing, and we'll allow today to be just that public hearing. Anyone that would like to comment for or against this application, feel free to do so at this time. There being none, entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the special class C per diem liquor license application for singles on sailboats.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. First appointment is our state's attorney's office. I don't see anybody from the state's attorney's office. So we'll,
He's co-presenting with me, so I can come up, or we can, if we want to hold on it. I can-
that's up to you. If you want, I can jump down the agenda and wait till he gets here. It's not,
Okay.
we can come back to him.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Human Resource Department. Jen White. We have amendments to the Kent County Employee Handbook regarding employment policy.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm here this morning to present to you amendments to the reemployment policy. I believe you have a copy of the amended policy in front of you, and I'm just asking for your approval and adoption of this policy, and it would be effective January 1 of 2025.
It would be retroactive.
Yes,
Okay. So this would require a motion from the board.
that's correct.
And that's, just for a little explanation, that's to increase to a year.
It's to provide more benefits to our, any county staff that wants to return to employment. It will help with recruiting and retention of the employees. It's to increase, or if they don't have a break of service, a 12-month break of service, from when they separated from the county and then return, then any applicable leave accruals would be reinstated. Accrual rates, excuse me,
Yeah,
rates.
no leave would be reinstated because those pots would have already been
Just the
expended in
rate.
No, I
whichever
understand.
way, but the accrual rate.
Right.
And this is pretty consistent with other neighboring jurisdictions,
Correct.
this particular policy. Our policy was a little more strict.
Yes,
From what I
it
read,
did,
so-
we did not allow the,
It's a
To
fairer.
increase the
it's a-
time.
It's a fairer process.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
if you're
it's-
here and you separate, but you come back within a year, you would be treated for purposes of annual leave like you've been here the whole time.
right, so if you were to, for example, if you separated from the county and when you separated, you were at a 20-year leave accrual, and you came back to the county for employment and in less than a year, or 12 months, we would reinstate that 20-year leave accrual instead of starting you back at the beginning.
It's 20 days, right, not a year.
Well, if you had been here for
20 years.
Oh, I got
ye-
Right,
yes.
you'd be-
Right.
You get so much leave depending on how many years of service
Yes.
you
Right.
have.
Right,
So
okay.
basically, you wouldn't have to start back at the beginning.
Correct.
You would keep your seniority essentially. with
Correct,
respect
but
to-
it has to be within no more than 12-month break of service.
Right.
Beyond
If you left
that,
for 5 years and came back,
we're not going
We're
to
willing
honor
to
that.
Or
13
12
months.
months in one day.
correct.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended reemployment policy and adopt resolution 2025-12.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll back up and take our state's attorney, or the state's attorney's office, and it says grant number PIG-2026-0013 entitled Kent's Tackling Recidivism with Alternatives, Connections, and Knowledge Project. Right?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Welcome today.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Joanne, you as well.
Yes, Joe.
Thank you.
You know, well, let's, I'm
want me to start?
I'm gonna let Joanne start. She can lay it out for you, and then I'm here to answer any questions, and also to, of course, tell you how excited we are that we were rewarded this money after having it not given to us for a year. We had a nice project going. And we're hoping to get it up and running again and even better. So but I'll let Joanne.
Sure, so I'll provide a little bit of background and context. As you gentlemen may remember, we had brought this application before you earlier in the spring to apply to reinstate the recidivism program at the state's attorney's office. This was a grant that the state's attorney's office had held in FY24, unfortunately was not renewed in FY25, and so that program was shuttered, and we were seeking to bring it back. I'm happy to say that our grant application was successful, but we are bringing this back before you today, which is more than just a simple acceptance of the award, because while we had asked the state for approximately $250,000 in funding, the state has a lesser pool of funds that they're working with to award, and so what they did is they did award us the funds, but reduced our request to approximately $207,000. And so we wanted to bring this back before the commissioners today because this may potentially have some impacts on the program. We are able to made some budget adjustments to reduce the amount of contracted services we'd be able to procure to provide the participants in the program with things like workforce development skills and other workshops. The grant would still contemplate having two full-time persons employed. However, there is a potential need for more funds in that this grant has a cap on the amount of fringe benefits that it will support. Our original request, we had an amount of indirect funds that we were able to ask for that we thought would really bridge the gap in the potential fringe benefit costs. Since we have the reduced amount award that we were offered, that does change the situation. It's a bit of an uncertainty depending on the health benefits packages that these two new hires would elect to have. I will say that ranges if they were to choose the least expensive health benefits package, not for the spouse, not for their children, but just for themselves. There would potentially be very little cost to the county, approximately $2,000. But if there was the full most expensive benefits package chosen, that range could be higher. So we wanted to bring this back before consideration in accepting this award. But I think I'll also turn it over to Brian to talk a little bit about the program and how excited he is to bring it back.
I am, and again, we wanted to come back before you gentlemen to be candid about the potential cost there could be with the fringe benefits, and that's up in the air. We don't know exactly. I know that you supported this program 2 years ago, and I don't think I have to necessarily sell you on the benefits of this project, right? And we had success in the first year that we ran it. And I think we'll have more success even this time around because we learned a lot, and we'll be better at it. And my perspective on my office and the job we do. Part of it is not just prosecuting cases, getting convictions. People are held accountable. People have to pay the price in some way, shape, or form at times to be incarcerated, to be, and take that path. But the other part of what we can do is redirect individuals, provide them with the services and the assistance they need to get on their feet, to get out from behind the 8 ball after being either convicted or after being arrested, and head them off in the right direction so that we never see them again, okay? And that makes everything more efficient. It makes the court system more efficient. It makes the policing easier to do because there's less people out there committing crimes. It makes it easier for my office to do our job because we're not prosecuting as many crimes because those folks aren't coming back. So all that is what I presented to you when we originally filed for this grant 2 years ago. You kind of know where I'm coming from on this. But we wanted to be back before you so you understood that because of how it played out this year, because of the reduction in funds, there could be a little bit of a gap. So, and then let you know that and hear what you had to say about it.
Well, what I read, it could be $5,000 to $30,000 depending on the benefit
Correct.
package that they apply for, and there's no way we can tell that ahead of time. But
Correct.
No, this.
And the program, you said you think it shows some benefit the first year.
Absolutely, and really the key, why we wanted 2 more people back, a manager, project manager, program manager, whatever you want to call it, and a case manager, it's because like a human resource is the most valuable resource, and when you have 2 good people that know what they're doing and can help direct individuals, because these 2 individuals, what they do is they'll tee these participants up for success in a way that they'll set them up with workforce development. We're not actually providing the workforce development, but we're partnering with other agencies to provide workforce development, or whatever it might, mental health, whatever might be needed, transportation, to get them to where they need to go. And what we saw the first time around was that was super helpful. The case manager and project manager were able to get people to their appointments, make sure they made their appointments, made sure they were, whatever, if it was studying for the GED, or if it was obtaining their driver's license and navigating the MVA. So that's the kind of stuff these individuals do. So really, the backbone and the driving force behind this whole program are those 2 individuals that we hire, and they take up a significant portion of the grant funds that we receive. And so we talked about maybe doing it with less, like not a case manager, or just the project manager, just a part-time case manager, and it just, any way we thought it through, it didn't seem to work. It didn't seem that because they're so essential to the success of the program, we felt, having one part-time person or just one program manager to act also as a case manager, that wouldn't be effective.
And I'll just add from a grant perspective too, that if we were to accept this award at this amount, this wouldn't necessarily preclude us from going back to the state in FY27 and continuing to apply for a higher amount, which at that point in time, presumably, right, we'd also have benefits and outcomes and information to show to the state saying, yes, we had asked for this amount initially, you provided us less, here's what we've been able to do, and we'd like a little bit more to close that gap. So I will say, I don't think that this necessarily caps what Kent County could receive in the future. It's just what we're limited to today. Of course, that's all dependent too on, future budget allocations on the state level and what might happen. But from our ability to apply for future grant funds, this wouldn't limit us in the future.
Well, I would like to applaud our state's attorney for his vision with this project. I know we supported it in the past. I think we had talked about also maybe trying to address some of the juvenile.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Price, for bringing that up. We discussed that, and I think our plan is, our hope is, to build on this. So going into 2026, the goal is to expand the program to incorporate that component of addressing the juvenile issues in Kent County.
Good.
So, and I thought, whenever I would talk to Joanne about that, I would bring you up, and I would think of how you were focused and concerned about that, and rightfully so, as am I. So while it's not in this project this year, and as a state's attorney, as a member of the Maryland State's Attorney Association, we're doing all we can to address the issues that seem to have arisen due to changes in the law in regards to juvenile and juvenile crime and juvenile justice. I think another component of it could be next year expanding this grant fund and the scope of the project to incorporate juveniles.
Well, I think it's very important that we try to incorporate juveniles in that program. Anytime that we can get someone to not reoffend and go on the straight path of being successful, that's certainly a win. Grant funding is always very, very helpful to the county. And Joanne, you've done a great job from what I've seen, time and time again. I'm just wondering, and I don't know the legal answer to this question. These are going to be contractual employees.
They will be employees. I'm not sure exactly what.
But if they were contractual, knowing that this is a grant, that it may or may not be there again next year.
Right.
Would it be better to make them contractual as opposed to full-time employees, just contractual for a 1-year period? And here's the legal question, Tom and Shelley. Can you legally control the benefit package
I'm
in a
not-
contractual
I'm not
position.
sure that we can offer a position without benefits, Tom.
I suggest that maybe you offer the benefit, but only for the employee,
Well, there'd
not
have
for
to
the
be,
family.
there'd have to be, I think, an employment contract, and that would specify this is for 1 year, and it would end at 1 year. I think the concern you have is, if you don't do that, and we run out of funding, then there's an obligation to pay unemployment on that. I think we can do a contract, and we say it's for 1 year, and if we have the funding, then we can renew the contract. And we put in the contract what we would do at termination. The benefits package, I would kind of defer to Shelley on that. I tend to think that if they're an employee, they would get whatever benefits. The question would be, what happens when that 1 year ceases? What obligation do we have? For example, COBRA, things like that. I tend to think that we would have to do the COBRA after the 1 year, even if it's on a contract.
With the
Yeah.
Affordable Care Act, we are very limited by
Right.
those types of restrictions.
Right. So I think
just-
we're
I would
okay with
just-
salary, but the
Yeah.
benefits is something that may, be a cost after the end of the contract period.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out a way, instead of this maybe
Right.
potentially costing the county $30,000 in benefits, depending on the plan they choose, if we could say, this is what's available to you. Offer the benefit, but just for the person who's going to,
For the employee only.
That's kind of a challenge here, because we have a policy, basically, if you're an employee, this is what you get. So I'm not so sure about that. I mean, if this person, whoever is doing this, if they're working independently, I mean, depending on the level of supervision and the flexibility of hours, you could possibly have them as an independent contractor,
Right.
not an employee. And then you don't have to pay
That
Pay
would
any
alleviate
benefits.
all of these questions.
Correct.
But that would change the full structure of the,
Correct.
the labor hours.
Right. If they are an independent contractor, they truly have to be, which means they have flexibility on hours. It's more like the job than the hours, the basis of pay, and.
We can't dictate where they work.
Correct.
Et cetera.
Correct.
I'm not so much worried about the benefits, but I do have a question about the, like you said, we did this 2 years ago, and then we didn't have it last year. Well, are these the same people? And are they going to be the same people that come back? I mean, are they aware that this is a job based on the approval of that grant?
Right now, I know that one of the individuals won't be coming back. So it was Hope Clark that was the project manager. She won't be coming back.
Okay.
I haven't reached out to the case manager to see if she's available and would come back to assist.
But they do know that this job is a job based on this grant.
Yes, absolutely.
If the grant runs out, so does the job.
Yes.
And I would think even if those prior individuals were both not interested and this was an open posting, that would be specified in the job description, that
Yes.
this is a
Yeah,
grant-funded
absolutely.
position.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't, obviously, we wouldn't want
Certainly was.
anybody taking a job and
Right.
thinking it's
We wouldn't want to
forever.
mislead anyone.
when-
Right.
Right.
Right, and I
We
think that's
hope
how
it
it was
is.
presented the first time around. I think everyone knew. And if it wasn't in the job description, it was definitely in the conversations I had with the people that I met
And
with.
being it's successful, we hope it goes on every year, but
Right.
as long as those people are aware of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we certainly want to be fair about that, make sure they know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I'll entertain any more questions.
well, I think that what I would like to see us do is just as a suggestion, is that we accept the grant award and move forward with trying to find two folks that are willing to take those positions. And then come back and let's see what the dollar number looks like for the benefits that they choose. And I'm a little concerned about, yeah, it could be $2,000, which is not that big of a deal for us. But if it's $30,000, we just went through a budget process and we didn't fill some positions. And here we are, 3 weeks into July, and this grant comes before us, and you're asking for two new positions, for a good reason. But I'd like to see what the benefit costs are gonna be, and I hate to ask you to have to go through all that process. And I might be the only one that feels this way. But I'd like to know what the actual financial hit is gonna be. Is it gonna be 2,000 or 5,000, or is it gonna be the 30-some thousand dollars? Because there's a big difference.
So you would need that before an offer is made to an employee then, or to an applicant?
We'd have to have an idea, of what their intentions might be, so that we can.
I almost would have to think that it's gonna have to be the $25,000 or $30,000. I mean, I guess depending on who you get, but.
Right.
and-
I mean, realistically, it could be less, it could be zero. So let's say they don't accept any benefits, and let's say they are available 2 weeks after what we're anticipating their start date would be. So it could be zero.
But I would think
But-
the decision as whether we're gonna move forward with this has to be done now, rather than to let them go through the interview process and pick out a winner and then have to come back to see if we're gonna fund it.
So, and one of the reasons I would say that is the better solution is because, let's say you hire 2 employees starting September 1st, and they choose both, let's just say, choose 0 benefits. So we have a 0 impact to the county budget. And then on October 1st, one of said employees' spouses loses their job, which is a qualifying event for a change in benefits. And then all of a sudden, that particular employee needs family coverage. Now we've got a change mid-year. We certainly can't prohibit that employee from picking up benefits, but it does impact the bottom line. So I think you almost have to move forward with knowing that it could be up to $30,000. And, I mean, we'll definitely get a sense of where it's gonna land in the next month or two, but I'm not sure we're gonna have a final answer.
I would agree, because otherwise, it's like if somebody doesn't elect benefits, they get the job. If somebody does elect benefits, they don't.
Right.
And so we don't want to make the offer based on who's wanting benefits and who's not. So I would agree with Shelley on this.
Well, we certainly want a fair process, and certainly the employee has the right to choose what's in the best interest for them. So.
Is there any money in the state's attorney's budget?
We run a really tight budget.
Well, we do too.
Yeah.
And you're coming
No,
to
I-
us 3 weeks afterwards.
No, I understand.
It's a very administrative budget, so they pretty much
Right.
already know what's going
Yeah.
to be spent and what's not spent. You have contracted services that are the same month over month.
Correct.
You've got salaries that are the same month
Same.
over month. There's not a lot of wiggle room in.
Yeah, there's not. And then this is, we're where we are here today because of when we got awarded the grant. It
Right.
came in last minute. We didn't know. So we're moving as fast as we can, and also wanted to present this to you gentlemen just to be, upfront and realize what the potential is.
Well,
Yes.
Certainly,
we would have included it during your budget process.
Absolutely. If it was,
We're on
we
the
just follow.
timetable of the state and getting their.
And it is
We're a little
different,
behind.
it's different than what you had applied for as well.
yes,
Which we did
there was a
not-
lot of adjustment.
We could not have anticipated.
There was a lot of
I mean, I
adjustment.
appreciate all that, but I think that, we're going to talk about something in this meeting coming up that, that is another budgetary issue that we're trying to watch every penny that we have right now to see.
I understand.
So that's where I think the concern's coming from.
Sure.
We appreciate everything you're doing, and I feel it, we all think that this is a good thing. That's-
Well, and I appreciate the perspective you gentlemen have. I understand, I get it. I can only say that if you think of the long-term investment of it, if you get the right people, and even if you're paying them those benefits, ultimately, the goal is to produce productive citizens in the community, and that payback is far greater than $30,000 if it happened to be that, with individuals that are in the workforce or employed or paying taxes or on the right path as opposed to being a drain on the system. And so less people being arrested, less people being locked up, there's less people being tried. There's money involved in all of that. So,
That means your budget will be shrinking.
well, you know what, and I would be happy to have a shrinking budget. That would be a good thing. That would be a good thing.
Well, I think, from what I've heard, we believe in the program. We're happy that the grant came through. And what you just said is very, very true. $30,000 to change the direction of someone's life or change the direction for a whole family is worth every penny.
Yeah.
So having said that, I'll see if I get a second. I'd like to make a motion to accept the grant award as presented with a potential request for an additional dollars to be requested at a future date.
Second.
I'm not, say that again.
I'm making a motion to accept the grant award that's been presented here today with a potential request for additional dollars to be requested at a future date for those benefit costs.
And so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. So
Thank
you'll
you.
come back and let us know how much additional
What the
money.
damage is going to
Yeah.
be.
Yes. Yes, we will, but I can't thank you gentlemen enough. I appreciate what you do.
Well, I think it really boils down to, do we believe in the recidivism program or not? And I mean, evidently the state's made a real commitment, and I agree that we should make one as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Departmental requests, an update. Department of Planning, Housing, and Zoning, a resolution to adopt Solar App Plus. Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
So regarding this item, about a year ago at this time, I came before you and we talked a little bit about this process. So in 2024, General Assembly required that all jurisdictions that issue residential rooftop solar permits have to utilize a specific program. I think they amended the legislation to say or equivalent, but I'm not aware of an equivalent. So Solar App Plus is a program that immediately issues solar permits based on information submitted by contractors. It requires the use of another program called Stripe to do the billing. When we first learned about this, we worked with IT, we worked with our finance department. We're really not able to integrate those programs into our software. So there is a web-based approach which we can use. It doesn't require any modifications to our computer system, but we aren't able to bill by Stripe. So what this resolution proposes is to utilize the web-based program to no longer collect a building fee for these kind of permits. It'll issue the permit, and then you're instructing me to ask MDIA to come up with an inspection fee that covers their work in this process that we can assess via the separate inspection process. So we won't have to use Stripe billing. We will be able to use Solar App Plus. And in the future, the Senate bill that adopted this was more expansive, but Solar App Plus only does certain things. So we're only changing to that for those certain things that it currently does. So, and I've also put in a call to our MDP liaison just to make 100% sure this is all moving forward. There hasn't been much discussion about it since then. So if, in fact, the state has a list of exemptions, they can kind of pull out of it. If they have done that, then this resolution has language to say it has no effect. So,
Bill?
yes, sir.
Do you want to comment, or would you like me to comment on the concerns we had with the vendor?
I mean, you're certainly welcome to comment, but I don't think there's any way to get around
No, we're kind of
their
stuck here, but
terms.
I'll just
Right.
state this, and I
Sure.
put this in my comments when I approved the agenda item. Bill and I have both looked over the sample contract with the vendor, and it is very one-sided for the vendor. It's not the type of contract that we would recommend approval for. However, this is a mandated program by the state of Maryland. I have concerns that the state says you have to use a certain vendor, and the contract that the vendor has, I don't think is in the best interest of the taxpayers. So, just for the record, if this was not a mandatory state program, we would not be recommending entering into this contract with the vendor unless there were some changes made or negotiations made with the vendor. But given the mandate, we're kind of stuck here. So that's why Bill put in there that if the mandate changes, this resolution would not have effect.
So has, I know there was another bidder for this, from what I read, I think.
Okay.
Has anyone engaged with the vendor about your concerns?
I have
I
not.
don't know.
I think the good news is the program was developed by the federal government, by HUD itself. So there's no fee to the county. No one's making money off of this. But it has the kind of terms or conditions or the sorts. This is an online web-based program. For example, I won't name any names, but some of the, my own personal life, some of the vendors that I do email services with, boy, those terms are really one-sided. So I think this is kind of the standard package that protects the online provider, magnificently. So, but I don't think that it's unusual, and it's not like it's a for-profit private entity that's making money off anybody. So
Just for a government contract, it would be something, if this wasn't mandatory, that we would certainly be negotiating with the vendor to have some of the terms revised, if that's fair to say.
So one more question.
Yes.
Is there any reason legally that we create liability for the county? And is there there is no financial cost to the county?
No.
What about the liability and any legal issues?
I think there were concerns because the vendor basically disclaims any liability whatsoever.
Right.
So those issues are there, but I think that the state of Maryland has said, this is the vendor that we've approved, this is the vendor that you have to use, so there's really no other alternatives as I see it.
They did amend the legislation to say or equivalent, but I'm just, in the discussions that happened around it, I'm not aware of any equivalent vendor that provides the same service. So I don't know that there is an equivalent, specifically.
If the state
I could
is
be wrong.
saying that this is who we have to use, would they assume the liability?
No.
I know the answer to that, but I had to ask it.
Good
No.
try.
Well, we have to play the hand we're dealt.
Yeah, I just felt a duty to disclose this to you because
Because it
Bill
is
and
a
I both
mandate.
flagged it early on.
That we don't want to challenge at this point.
Right.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 2025-13 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you very much, and I'll keep you gentlemen updated about how it goes. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Office of Emergency Services, FY 2026 Contingency Fund Request, Uninterruptible Power Supply. Pete, that's you?
Yes, sir. I also have Brad Russell here. Chief of
Okay. Brad, you want to come up?
I didn't want to have all the fun myself.
No, I got you. Got to spread it around. Brad's always happy. He don't need any cheering up.
That's it. I'm here to smile. Good morning. We're here before you today because the current uninterruptible power supply, the battery backup that's located in the transmitter building at our office is failing. It provides the backup and uninterruptible power to our radio systems, including connectivity from 911 dispatch center, as well as the critical county network infrastructure supporting the 911 center, the detention center, and Kent County Sheriff's Office. It's kind of interesting to know that the existing unit that's failing was originally installed in 1989 and has operated 24/7 since its installation. It's finally lived its life. Part of the problem is we have to replace it because it ensures a continued operation of our county radio and network systems, maintaining reliable communications and emergency services throughout Kent County. Kent County Office of Information Technology recommended CPG as the vendors. They provided state of Maryland contact pricing. They're the current vendor of the UPS that's located here at 400 High Street. We got a comparable quote from Chesapeake Mission Critical, and they bid on the product, but it was a turnkey quote of $49,035.95. The bid that CPG provided is turnkey, and it was at a financial amount of $46,751 that I'm requesting be awarded utilizing FY26 contingency funding. Had we known it was going to fail, we would have included this in our budget request for this year.
You're not wise enough to know when that battery's going to fail, Pete.
I reprimanded Brad for this.
Well, this is why we have contingency for emergencies like this. And this is important to have that backup. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the allocation of $46,751 from the FY26 contingency funds and accept the CPG proposal for the project.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
How long does it take to get them? Are they available?
Yeah, it'll hopefully be very quick.
Okay. Shelley?
We have IT here as well about the new website.
Okay. Hold on here, I'm having a computer glitch, or a Ronnie glitch maybe, more like it.
It's only appropriate that IT is here.
Yeah, how about it?
You want to put in a help desk ticket?
I got you. Okay, all right, well, I jumped over them to start with. Excuse me. I apologize, ladies, for that. Scott, welcome.
Hey, I'm just going to tee this up because they really did all the work, just to kind of let you know. It's been a project over the past.
They told us that 2 or 3 weeks ago that they're doing all the work up there and that.
What can I say? But it's been about a year's worth of work. One of the things we did when we approached the website this time was in the past, it's been in IT, but while there's a technical side to it, it's really a marketing look, right? So what we did was we reached over to Tourism and Economic Development. We said, you guys have the marketing expertise. We want you to be involved heavily this time. So we set up this team, this crack team here, where we had Sandy spearheading our work, and then Economic Development as a team took over the marketing side. And so they're going to pop up on the screen here for you a couple before and after type things to show you where we currently are and what they're about to transition to. One last thing is that the outgoing website does have some security flaws in it that are sort of predictable. At the time the website was created and how we presented information was indicative of the time, but there are certain things that we share that we should not share. And so now there are some plugins and some things in this new website that will increase our security posture, so.
Okay. We're excited to unveil the newly redesigned Kent County government website. Our focus was a modern, user-focused platform built to better serve our residents, visitors, and businesses. You already know this project was completed in collaboration between the two departments. And first, we want to pull up the old site to show you what we have. Okay, so that's our current site. And now we want to pull up the new site. So this is what we're going to. Some new key improvements and features incorporated in the site are a new navigation and modern design. This site is fully responsive and optimized for mobile, tablet, and desktop use. We've updated visuals and branding. We have a brand-new news section for updates that can be displayed across the county. And we've also added a brand-new live social media feed that incorporates OES, Economic Development, and Parks and Recreation. Added to the site, we've updated the residents section. So this section is revamped to design to meet the needs of everyone from newcomers to longtime residents, senior citizens, veterans, and more. It's a centralized hub for local services, information, and support. And we've also added a community section. So our new community section links to local partners, organizations. It provides residents and visitors with quick access to essential community resources. And then we have better organized content throughout the site, which we will display on one of our department pages. On the department page, we have new quick links for easy access. I'll also show you the business page.
So these are the quick links that Sandy's referring to up here. They're frequently accessed pages to make it easier for users to get to where they want to go if they don't want to go through the navigation.
Throughout the site, we've enabled enhanced security and spam protection, and by doing that, we added an email us button so that our email addresses are not exposed.
So, and that's here in the sidebar and anywhere we have emails anywhere on the website. So nobody will be seeing our direct link to the emails.
So when you click on it, it'll pull up a form. They'll fill out a form, and then that information will get relayed to whoever they're trying to reach in the department.
Very good.
We've also added an integrated tourism subsite. So this dedicated tourism section, complete with user-friendly directories, is targeted to visitors to make it easier than ever for visitors to explore Kent County.
And we structured this similar, the homepage is similar to how we designed the main page of the site. You can see that you can find all of the tourism social channels on here. We have their Instagram feed as well. Calendar of events, and also a new section for tourism-related things. We have a sub-nav here, which is the directory-based stuff that Sandy was just talking about. So here's Dine and Sip. Users can easily come to the site, and there's the directory embedded within all of these pages. So you can find places to eat, places to stay, venues, all of that fun stuff. So it's really easy to use.
So the new site will be coming live in the next few weeks, and we're still fine-tuning some content, and we welcome any feedback that you may have.
We can't go online and see this yet.
We can send you a link where you can view it if you want to.
That would be great.
Okay. Yeah, we can send that to you. We'll
Yeah.
email it.
Was there anything that you guys wanted to see in particular right now?
No,
or-
I've just, and we're seeing about a
Yeah,
five
yeah.
minute.
it's a huge
Where it
site.
would
We
be
didn't-
nice if we could just see it at home and take time and look it over. Not that,
Absolutely.
it looks fine, and look, Kent County's a beautiful place. It's nice, it should be pretty easy to brag about it a little bit and show all it has, so.
Yeah,
But,
we didn't want to take up too much of your time today.
no, that's fine. And it appears that you've done a great job, and that's why I was just interested if there was a way we could, at home, look it over and appreciate it more of what you've all done before it comes on, that's all.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, good.
I just have one quick question, and you just clicked on it. When you click on the commissioners, is there a way, because we had spoken about, oh, you take that down. We had talked about maybe an annual report or semi-annual report out to the citizens to keep everyone informed and be very transparent on exactly things that are actually occurring in Kent County. Good things, and bad if it's bad. But we have a lot of initiatives going on right now that that most people don't know about. And I just don't think we do a really good job of getting that information out, and maybe this is a tool that we could use to do that.
Absolutely. It's something that we could feature in the news section on the homepage, and then we can also add dedicated places like within the site for that stuff to live too.
Okay,
Absolutely add that.
that might be something
And we had talked about doing like a state of the county address, highlighting everything that's going on in the county and stuff, and we sort of got into it, and then I'm not sure we all, speaking for myself, knew how we go about doing all this, because it is a lot to talk about, and it is a lot of things out there. And I agree with John that I think there's some real issues that people don't quite understand or know about, and we'd like to do something. And I can see what John's talking about. We were maybe doing something, putting it on a website or something to,
We can certainly add it to your page.
yeah, we'll have to give it some thought.
good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you all.
Nice
you.
job.
Lots to take.
Thank God for those ladies, Scott. I understand.
Okay, Shelley, I think you're up this time.
Okay, thank you. First up on the agenda under me is the Chesapeake College Queen Anne's County Technical Building update. So we have heard from Dr. Clifford Coppersmith, who is the president of Chesapeake College, where that is. After some negotiations with the state and some refinements, the new building is right now slated to cost approximately $48.5 million. This is slightly less than what was originally anticipated, so our share is slated to go down by about $250,000 total. In the FY '26 budget, which is just the design, our share is slated to go down about $16,000. So the project is moving forward. It is coming into focus, and the costs are coming in slightly under what was anticipated. So there's no action on this item. This is simply an update. Next up, we have the local abatement plan, which is going to be presented primarily by Joanne, but I am here as well. We've been working on the National Settlement Agreement jointly. Joanne has done a marvelous job navigating us through this. This has taken a lot of coordination with the state as well as our partner agencies on this.
Okay, so this is part 2 of a 2-part process, which I think I gave everyone a little bit of a preview of when we were here at the beginning of July, on the July 8th meeting. As you may recall, during that meeting, you all had approved passing a resolution that established a special revenue fund whereby the county would receive these opioid restitution settlement funds, and authorizing the creation of a process whereby we could begin to create a grant application process open to community partners that could apply for use of those funds. As I think I noted then, we do have now the special revenue fund ready to receive, but the state of Maryland is still holding Kent County's allocation of the targeted abatement grants from the settlement fund until we submit part 2 of this. So now I'm seeking approval of what's called the local abatement plan, which is our report back to the state describing what you've done in terms of passing the resolution, setting up that fund, and authorizing a process. It also describes to the state the work that our local health department and the LDAC has done in identifying what are the priority opioid prevention, treatment, and mitigation needs in Kent County. So it doesn't specify how those grant funds would be used, but generally speaks to what are the needs in our local area. Once this plan is approved and submitted to the state, assuring them that we do have that special revenue fund and the authorization to create a grant process in place, they will then release those funds that are set aside for Kent County into that fund that we have here so that we can have those funds in hand and begin to make sub-grants into our community partners. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have on that plan.
I just have a comment, just for clarity, for the public that might be listening, that these revenue funds that are coming in, they have to be utilized for specific treatment plans and programs. It's not something that goes into the general fund.
No.
It's not, and this is court action. This is settlement funds due to a class action lawsuit. So these are very targeted uses.
Right, and these are
It's a
the,
sizable revenue coming in
For Kent County.
Yeah.
Kent County.
Yes.
yeah, it's the county share. I mean, there were a lot of negotiations with the state as to how what the county share is going to be, and that went back and forth for a while. But yes, this is a good thing.
So having said that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the local abatement plan as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And then just one other noteworthy item is letters were sent in opposition of migratory game Sunday hunting. One was sent to the delegate Regina Boyce, who is the vice chair of environmental. I don't remember the exact title offhand of in the House. And one was also sent to the Secretary of Department of Natural Resources, Joshua Kurtz. So Commissioner Price did attend that meeting. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add for public consumption.
There was a 5-hour meeting that took place at Sandy Point State Park. And during one of these days that we had 90-some degree temperatures in an open pavilion with ceiling fans. It was extremely warm. But there was an engaging conversation that took place between several different groups being represented there. I was there representing the county commissioners as well as the waterfowl commercial businesses here in the county. I briefly spoke. I also presented a letter of opposition signed by all 3 commissioners because we believe that Sunday hunting potentially could jeopardize the waterfowl population by applying too much stress. The state was pretty adamant that they basically wanted Sunday hunting to create more opportunity for our youth and for people that can't always take off Monday through Saturday to go. So that was their pretty much reason why they wanted it. They weren't really, or didn't appear to be concerned about the overall declining population or the added stress. But that was loud and clear. So I guess we have to wait and see what's going to happen. And that's about all I can report on it. I mean, it was a hot day, and we were represented there. Sunday should be a day of rest for people, and it should also be a day of rest for our precious resources, in my opinion, when it comes to waterfowl.
Very good. Shelley, the next one is a Kent County Middle School project discussion. I don't know how you want to start that off. First of all, Dr. McComas is here, and I see most of the board members.
I would like to invite them up.
Absolutely, come up
Mr.
front.
President, so everyone can hear what we all have to say. It's kind of hard to hear in the back. Some of you can come up here and sit in these 3 chairs if you'd like.
This item is on the agenda as a result of a meeting that was held, a joint meeting that was held last Tuesday regarding how to move forward regarding a middle school, a new middle school, when to move forward, how to move forward, how it's going to be funded. Meeting that was held, that was a very robust dialogue, and there were several opinions expressed, so this is somewhat of a follow-up to that conversation.
Want to start?
If you want to.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great time to, from being at the meeting at the middle school the other day, hearing from constituents throughout the county from time to time, both by email and in person. I think there's a lot of, I wouldn't say misleading information out there, but there's information that needs to be put out there for clarification. I spent a regular time trying to analyze this entire thing. And as a result, I prepared a written document here that I would like to share. Certain parts of it, I would just like you just to, don't get your feathers ruffled, for lack of better words, but I think it's important that we consider all of the potential options. And then I have a suggestion at the very end, and of course my colleagues might have something they might like to offer as well. First off, I think it's very important for everyone to know that all three of the commissioners sitting up here, and I'm going to speak for all three of us on this particular topic, we are supportive of building a new middle school. There is, there were two letters that were actually sent to Mr. Donahue previously. One was in October of '23, and Shelley helped me, the other one was in November.
November of '24.
Of '24. Outlining that we were in support, but we needed help from the state with the cost share. So those letters are available for the public if they want to see it. But we were all three of us were committed, we're still committed. We just got to figure out how to get it done.
John, I'm going to interrupt you just for a
Go ahead.
second. And the letter that hit, the way this discussion started was Dr. Couch, when she was here. She come before us one day, sitting right where Mr. Kirby's sitting. And she said, as far as middle school, if I was to get, let me even back up a little bit. There are every county's responsibility as far as what percentage they have to pay for a new capital project like a school is different. The extreme would be Somerset, for one. If they went to build a new school, they wouldn't have, their county people would not pay a dime. The state pays it all because they're considered to be a poor county. This is something that's haunted Kent County my entire time as commissioner. It's called the wealth formula. Somehow, when we're at the bottom of every scale you can bring up as far as the wealth of a county, we're in 23rd or 24th place. But we are considered a wealthy county, and I guess it has to do with population of the school somehow, of the kids in the school. But we have to pay 50%. Now, when you have a state that has to pay, our county that has to pay zero, compared to a county that has to pay 50%, in a school that might cost $80 million, that's a $40 million. That's a lot of difference, and I don't think anybody can tell me that there's $40 million difference in what we should pay versus a Somerset County. And then other counties will pay maybe 4%, 6%, 8%, some at 10%. They're all different as far as what the taxpayers of that county's responsibility is. So the day Dr. Couch, because of us being saddled with 50%, it's been a hard nut for us to try to crack. And Dr. Couch come here that day and she said, gentlemen, if I was to be able to get the state, and somebody had made her feel pretty like she had a good chance of doing this. She come here and she said, if I was to get the state to cover everything but 6%. Would you build this new school? And before she finished, I said, hell yes. You get it so the state has to pay 94% and we pay 6%? We're in. That's how the conversation started. And then we spent 2 years trying to get that to happen. And we all know that what we ended up getting was they were going to give us $8 million towards whatever we have to pay, but we're still saddled with that 50%. So John, I just wanted to, so that letter John's talking about was our letter saying that under those circumstances, we were going to build a middle school, if that could happen. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
I wanted to say.
So currently, and I'm gonna just read this so I don't lose track of what I'm thinking here. We can't afford to fund the blueprint with about $2.5 million next year, and construction of a new school at an annual cost of about $2 million over 30 years. Basically, we could probably do one or the other. We attempted numerous times to encourage the state to increase their 50% level of funding, and we even traveled to Annapolis numerous times to speak with legislative leaders, President of the Senate, the House Chairman. We've spoken with the governor, and we were able to do some of this because of our lobbyist was able to get us in with these folks, because you don't just walk in and see Senate President Ferguson or any of those other leaders. You have to kind of know somebody in order to get in there to actually see him. All three of us did that numerous times. And we were hopeful. The state did not agree. So we are still at a 50-50 cost share, which is roughly $30 million for the taxpayers of Kent County, should we build a school. The state did allocate $8 million extra dollars over the next 2 years, from my understanding, but that's pending their next sessions, if in fact the money is available. And we all know the shape that the state is in right now. We're hopeful that they're committed to that. Other counties on the shore and throughout the state, just like Commissioner Fithian said, have received substantial funding for school construction in the past. Really not sure why Kent County isn't treated fairly by the state. For some reason, the state believes we are a wealthy county, and we do have currently a declining enrollment, which doesn't help either. And they are unwilling to even have a discussion on why they think we are a wealthy county. They won't even talk to us about that. We bring it up, we can't talk about that. Last year, the county received in new money about $3 million in new revenue, mainly from the real estate taxes of our taxpayers here and property owners here in the county. Kent County has the second highest property tax rate on the Delmarva and ranks number 7 in the state as far as ranking goes. We were able to balance the county budget, which was certainly a challenge. Many positive initiatives are on the horizon that we believe will sustain our purchase way of life without burdening the taxpayers now and in the future. Unfortunately, we routinely face opposition from some who resist growth, even though it is in the areas that have been designated over the years. Protecting our farmland is very important, but some reasonable growth is necessary. So raising real estate taxes, to me, that's not an option for us or for our citizens. This will drastically hurt our young families and seniors who are living on fixed incomes. It will crush whatever economic growth development we have accomplished so far and will probably do so in the future. Just to give you an idea, I have several property values down here, homeowner values down here. If you had someone owned a home for 200, and I don't know what that looks like, because most homes are more than 200, we would have to increase property taxes, real estate taxes by 5%, which is $106 to the property tax of a homeowner of 200,000.
5 cents,
Five
not
cents.
5%.
It's the
Not
same.
Not per cent.
It's about
it's
the
the
same, since we have a
Well, it's a dollar,
1.022
yeah.
Right.
rate.
So all these numbers are to that calculation. $300,000, it's a $159 increase. $400,000, it's a $212 increase. $500,000 is a $265 increase. They sound minimal, but I don't know about you all. But when I look at I spend, in my personal life, I spend a lot of money in insurance and taxes. And it hurts, especially if you're retired or you're on a fixed income or you're young and have children and so forth. It also hurts that we don't have a new middle school for our children. So this 5% increase only reflects paying for the new middle school. It doesn't pay for the blueprint. The blueprint's on top of what's being, it's a mandate currently. But I think we have options. And this is where your feathers might get ruffled a little bit. Just bear with me. Some of the options that I think we should consider, the first one is do nothing and keep the Band-Aids coming. To me, the answer is no to that. We could fund the blueprint and fund the school construction for 30 years. Our real estate taxes, because that's how we're going to pay the bills, will be crushing to all property owners, especially the young and the senior population. To me, that's a no too. We could move the students to a renovated Wharton Elementary School, and when I say that, we're already engaged in conversations about replacing the roof. Obviously, there would be, if we went with this option, I'm not suggesting that we do, that the entire building would have to be renovated totally. And put our 6th and 7th graders in there and consider moving the 8th graders to the high school and becoming an 8th grade academy. To me, that's not popular, number one, and may not be our best course of action. Next, fund the construction and let the next Board of Commissioners figure out how to pay for the debt. Because that's what some people do in government, especially politicians. They look at it and they say, oh yeah, we're going to do this, but they don't look at how they're going to pay for it. I know if you were to buy a house, and I would hope that you would be committed to making the mortgage payment, because if not, somebody's going to take it from you. But some people think differently, and we see some of that. Some people refuse to pay their property taxes, and they come in and ask for a waiver. And, so I'm just throwing all this out there. One thing that I think that I would like to see us try is, I think it's time to put the state on notice, to put the blueprint folks on notice. I've been at the middle school. I've toured the middle school. I was at the meeting there the other day. I went to school there myself. I have 5 grandchildren that are in the public school or going to be in the public school system. I have a daughter who's a teacher. I have another daughter that oversees the nurses in all the schools. And I also care about the young people and the children here in this county. They deserve better. They do. And for those that know me, I usually don't say things that I don't mean. I mean, I sincerely, what I'm saying, I truly mean. But I think it's time to take a bold step. We know we can't afford to do both. I would recommend that we notify the state and all those other players that need to be told this, that we are not going to be able to fund the blueprint at $2.5 million next year. And the reason why is because we need a new school that has a leaky roof, has sewage leaks, has very poor learning conditions, but potentially has mold, poor air quality, and so on. There's probably other issues that I actually haven't mentioned. I know the blueprint is a mandate, but we have to make a choice on what's best for the citizens of Kent County and our kids. To me, if I have to make a choice, it's going to be build a school and still provide the Board of Ed with reasonable funding. They used to call it maintenance of effort. But we can't afford both. So what I would like to do is to see us draft a letter to the state, telling them what our situation is, explaining the condition of our school, the health risk to our teachers, to our kids, potentially, and ask them to reconsider. And if they don't, then we put them on notice that we may not be able to meet the mandate. In fact, we probably cannot meet the mandate of the blueprint. There could be financial repercussions because of this to the county. I personally am willing to take that gamble to see what they're going to do. Because if they withhold our income tax money, which they could do, and they've threatened to do in the past, that's putting gas on the fire as far as I'm concerned. I've spoken with some of our state legislators, and you heard Delegate Rents the other day say, I don't think they'll do that. Well, I'm willing to challenge them and to see if they do, because we need help. We've got to generate some more revenue from the state, and then we can continue with the blueprint and building the school if the numbers come in right. Now, there's one other option that I am thinking of that I know will work, should my colleagues agree with me, which I'm not going to bring up today because it's something that I would rather not discuss right now unless we have to. But I think it's time for us to take a bold step and prepare a letter and send it. Unfortunately, it's time to make a choice that are in the best interest of the county and citizens. It's a bold step, and there may be financial consequences. That's my 2 cents. But please know that and I'll let the other two speak for themselves, but I am committed to bringing a new middle school to Kent County. We just got to figure it out, and we don't have much time to figure it out, because I think you said in August, Dr. McComas, everything's going to be complete, the design. And
we have been working for just about 12 months on the design and engineering, which, has a cost of $2.5 million right there, that we've already spent. And $80,000 on the feasibility study, that was local funds. So, we are pretty far down this path. So to abandon that at this point, I think would be questionable, right?
I
And
have a
so,
different word for it, but go
well,
ahead.
I have other words as well, but, you
That's
know,
the nice
I
word.
believe in diplomacy, as you know.
I hear you.
So, because I believe we're all in this room at this table for our children. That's what we all agree to that. We all agree that, as a community, we want what's best for our children, not what's least. And sometimes what's best requires courage. And it requires, a willingness to move into directions that we've not yet moved before, right? So I just want to say that I appreciate that we stand on common ground around doing what is right for our children. Mr. Fithian, you said a few months back that you felt our children were in good hands with me, and they are. And I appreciate you coming to the table as partners in this. I know this is not easy, and I know that it's very easy for a community to be pushed and pulled in a lot of different directions, right? So I just want to say thank you for the encouraging words to continue to move forward, because to abandon where we are is to disregard the feasibility study, which engaged the community extensively. And so it was really important, I think, that we honor what the community said just 24 months ago about the direction that they want to go. We do want to provide our children a state-of-the-art education that's comparable to any district in this state. Our children should not be disadvantaged because we as adults cannot figure this out. And while I agree that the state's formula is inappropriate for us as a county, and I have all year worked to change that, and I will continue as a partner to advocate at the state level. And I appreciate that you recognize that that is not within my authority to change, but I will be out there fighting the right fight for our community. And I appreciate your partnership in that. In terms of, a bold decision around Blueprint, that is an act of courage for our children. I think I've demonstrated that, as a school system, we are willing to reposition ourselves to think about doing things differently to keep us moving forward, because our children cannot tolerate us not doing so, right? We are at a defining moment from my point of view. As a community, we will either invest in the future of our children's public education in Kent County and send a clear message to our community that we believe in public education and we are moving our school system forward, or we won't. And that we will settle for the least that we can do, and that we are okay with our school system getting the least. And I don't believe that's who we are as a people or a community. And so I just want to say thank you for the courage to consider some things differently, whatever path we choose. I was discouraged the other day when we left the middle school. I was discouraged that we were a community that was willing to just say, well, this is the least and best we can do, as opposed to going the distance for our children. And I know there's people out there who want to diminish our school system, right? They want to throw achievement out there, and I will just share with you, I just want to take this opportunity, because I love to talk about achievement. For anyone who saw our last board meeting in the National Measures of Academic Progress, at the end of this past school year, in the last 24 months, we have seen significant gains in math and literacy in grades 3 through 8. Overall, in literacy, we've seen a 3% jump overall, but I want to highlight some specific grade levels. In 4th grade, we saw a 15% increase in literacy achievement, 7% in 3rd grade, 3% in 5th grade, 6% in 6th grade. And if we look at math, we're seeing even larger gains, which is not to say that we are where we want to be. But I am here to say, for anyone who wants to throw our school system under the bus in terms of achievement, they need to come and see our classrooms. They need to come and look at this data with me. In math, for example, we've seen a 9% gain in the last 24 months, and that increases in just about every single grade level, kindergarten through 8th grade. We saw a 17% gain in math in 3rd grade, a 20% gain in 4th grade. So for people who want to say, don't invest in our public school system because those kids are stupid and aren't performing, they are inaccurate and they are ignorant. And I dare them to come make an appointment because I personally will escort them into our classrooms to see the hard work of our children and the hard work of our faculty and our principals. And so I just want to say thank you for having the courage to say, we cannot settle. We cannot settle. I am not settling inside our classrooms. And I appreciate your partnership in making sure that we don't settle when it comes to local funding or state funding. And I will be there shoulder to shoulder with you, doing whatever it takes to do what we are obligated to do because our children deserve a fighting chance for the future. And this money is not just for the kids we have today, but we know we haven't built a school system in 50 years. This school that we are fighting to build will serve hundreds and hundreds of kids, generation after generation. So it's not about today. It is really about our commitment to 20 years from now and 50 years from now. So I will get off my high horse. I appreciate, I have taken dutiful notes. I know my board and I will certainly debrief our time today with you. And I guess I feel like I should see if our board chair has anything to say. If not, it's okay.
I do have one question that I can think of. So the bold step of choosing a new school over the blueprint, would the new school be the school that we agreed on when the board took its vote in October of 2023? Or would the new school be the hybrid of sort of a jumble middle school experience of putting kids for 2 years in a renovated Wharton Elementary School and then their 8th grade year in the high school?
I thought I was somewhat clear, but maybe I wasn't. No, it's not moving the kids to Wharton.
Well, you said that wasn't the most desirable, but that was before you
And
got to the
that's
bold
not,
step.
and that's not something that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a new middle school on the existing property of the Kent County Middle School, demolish the school that's there like we had planned.
Be grades 5 to 8.
And
Grades 5 to 8 as, that's the plan.
That's a decision for you all,
No,
yes.
that's the decision the board unanimously came to, because part of.
If that's what it is,
putting the fifth grade
then
back
that's what
in-
I'm talking about.
Part of putting the 5th grade back in middle school is to give our elementary schools some breathing room.
Some breathing room, yeah.
But this would also be the revised design that we're doing now, not the
Yeah, I mean,
original design was,
economy of scale. We're
right,
already
exactly,
Making it a smaller building because of the number of students.
correct.
To me, this is our last ditch effort. Not that we're going to give up, but this is our last ditch effort to try to get the state to come up to a higher level of, or shared percentage.
So,
And-
so what are we saying? I mean, are you making a motion to move forward with the school or the letter?
I'm making a motion to move forward with the letter, and hopefully that will engage conversation and with our people at the state level. I would think it's a mandate, the blueprint. If we didn't have the mandate for the blueprint, this would be easy for us to do. But you heard me say, we got 3, and it's projected. It's projected that, according to Pat, as of yesterday, that in FY '26, this coming year, the county should see about $3.3 million in new money, which is about the same as we saw this past year. That's not $4.5 million, which is just the school. We still have to operate the rest of the county agencies on that $3.3 million. So
May I ask a question? What percentage are you looking to move the state to?
Well,
Because
that's
right
something,
now, we're fighting and it's, it's foggy.
if
so-
you noticed the other day when I was at the meeting, probably the quietest you've ever heard me be.
I did notice you were
And you know
quiet.
why? Because at that time, I had no answers. But I have since, I think we all have, since started thinking outside the box, for lack of better words. And as a result of that, you heard the options. And I think, to me, to answer President Fithian's question, yes, I am going to be making a motion that we prepare a letter and send it, putting them on notice that we can't fund both and reasons why, and let the chips fall where they fall.
The situation you would have, though, is you would be contractually obligated to fund the school. You'd be committed to that, and you would be legally obligated to fund the blueprint.
What are they going to do?
That's the situation.
They're not going to eat me. I'm too big for that.
Right. I can't tell you what the state is going to do, but I
That's
can
what
say that there would be a contractual obligation to fund the construction of the school contemporaneous with a legal obligation under state law to fund the blueprint. That would be the situation the county would be in.
So they're going to make us, and look, I agree with you, Tom.
Right.
Don't think I don't agree with
Right.
you. I understand there could be consequences.
Right.
But we have children and teachers. I know my daughter used to teach at the middle school when she first came out of college. She said, Daddy, every day I left that school with a headache. Now, I'm not saying it was a mold issue, but obviously it was probably a poor air quality issue, which we have a lot of poor air quality issues in a lot of government buildings. It needs to be taken care of. And I'm willing to challenge the state. And I think if Kent County does it, you may see other counties throughout the state of Maryland that might say, hey, look what Kent County's doing. Maybe we need to get on the bandwagon too. Yes, it is a bold step. But I'm not afraid of bold steps. That's been my entire life, all along.
To answer your question.
Thank you.
Well, I can only answer for me. And the day that we all, well, I guess two things. One is, well, several. One is, the day that we went over there, everybody that testified, yourself and everybody, just did an awesome job. And I happened to go over there to dinner for something else a couple of nights later, and I ran into a couple of the delegates that were there. And they all couldn't believe how good a job everybody did in their presentation. And I thought that we were, but all of them told me, the chairman's he's not going to let this out there. He's not going to let this out there. Everybody else, I guess really, everybody else on the committee, but our delegation is, and they have all, the other delegates just commended how hard our delegation has been working on trying to get us extra funding as well. And when Ronnie was talking about the previous superintendent sitting here and saying that 96%, well, we couldn't, I mean, we all tripped over ourselves saying, let's do it right now. But we've never had a discussion on what that new number, what the number is.
What's the proportion you're looking for?
But so the day that we were over there, the lobbyist, Jonathan, came to me and he said, Albert, what is your number? And I said, we hadn't discussed it as a group. I said, but I think somewhere 80-20 is something that Kent County can live with and make work. That's just me. I see you writing that down. That's what Albert said, okay? Not the other commissioners. And, I don't know that we'll get there. But that's, I think, the number that we can make work with the funds that we have now. And they have committed, we've been over there 2 years now, and they've verbally committed, I guess, or maybe even written committed, but we don't have the money, the $8 million, which puts us, what is that? I mean, that does do something to the.
It does. And so that. I appreciate you kind of acknowledging that, right? Because we have already, with the 8 million, prior to the 8 million, we already have it shifted to 60-40, with the state doing 60%.
Right.
And does that include our 5% bump-ups?
It includes the two.
It includes two. There's potentially
Potential
could
for a
shift that to
third.
65, not including the extra 8 million.
Right.
So we have already begun moving that
Moving that needle, that's right.
And I do appreciate, because as you acknowledge, a great deal of effort has gone into moving that percentage already. And I would hate to just throw that effort away.
Right.
Right? Because if we're going to try to pursue more, we can't, my father used to say, you don't bite the hand that feeds you or spit in the well you drink from. Right? And so, to me, I appreciate not wasting the great deal of effort that's already gone into bringing in more money for Kent. And while I know the $8 million is a pre-approval, when you think about the assembly as a whole is approving that. I know there's still another piece to get through on that, but that's no small feat, getting the assembly as a whole body to approve that. And frankly, I think our challenge was our second year around, we took the same strategy we did the first year, which didn't work. So I'm not sure why we didn't change strategies, but I was the rookie on the block. So, but we walked away not empty-handed. And again, I will continue to advocate for more funding for the state. But I appreciate, again, not settling for the least we can do for our children. Because there's a future here, so.
The total build with all of the costs is 64 right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at that 64 number, the state does not pick up certain pieces of that, and we know that. The county would be responsible for 30. So even though we're talking about 50-50, 60-40, 3%, 5%, what we're looking at right now is the county would be responsible for in total, approximately 47% of the cost. So when we're talking 85-15 or 80-20, we've got to be really careful here.
Right.
Because it doesn't mean of the total build.
Right.
But right now, with where it stands, if you were talking about the total build, we're talking 47%. To Tom's point, I do think that if we make a bold stand, we may have other counties to stand behind us, but we have been told that there is a legal requirement. What we've been told is we will not get our full income tax distribution, they'll withhold it from there. But what we've also been told is the state won't give their portion of an increase if we don't give our portion. So not only are we withholding the 2.5, but the state would withhold whatever share that they are committed. So we've got to balance that against the bold stand and what other counties may stand with us to get the state's attention.
Now, I'd like to say that I think it's way overdue that we write this letter. I think the idea of this school cost is just really, it gives us a real argument as to why we think that we're being treated unfairly. I think the wealth formula needs to be in that letter. That's what makes us have to pay a 50% when others, Baltimore City or Somerset County or somebody else only pays 0 to maybe 6%, and we're stuck with 50% with 19,500 people. You just can't, the math speaks for itself. I will say that while we're in this discussion, I've read a lot of the letters that come through the SOS group, and I understand all that. I've seen them before, but there was some of the letters that really took, a lot of them were form letters, obviously, that they just sent under their name, but there were some of the letters that talked about the county commissioners being against growth in the county, and that's why we don't have the money to pay for this kind of stuff. Well, I don't know I've been with 7 different boards of commissioners in my time. There's never been a group that's been more for growing the economy than this board. And what I mean by that is we voted to do some real development up on the 301 corridor. And just to give you an example what it would make, there's one gentleman that wants to build 2 distribution centers up there. Besides the fact that each one, and I don't know that this has been talked about so much through the county either, because obviously But anyhow, each one of these distribution centers is supposed to employ 150 to 200, somewhere around 100 to 200 people in each building. That's monumental for a county of 19,000 people. And some of them's going to want to live close by where they work, and you see there's developers ready to build housing development there in Millington, maybe a couple of them. But those two distribution centers by themselves, the estimated tax revenue from them would be something over $1 million a year. Now, that ain't the county commissioners fighting that. That's some of your neighbors fighting that. And those names are on those lawsuits, if anybody's interested in looking for them, because that's what we're facing. We'd like to grow the economy in Kent County, and we're doing everything that has been planned in that spot for 20-plus years. And as soon as it comes to fruition and we get an opportunity to really do something that would make one hell of a difference in Kent County, then we've got opposition. Nobody's sending them letters complaining that they're holding this up. It's just, well, we can't have it both ways. We can't buy what we need. Everything seems to be at this time working against us. The blueprint comes out at a bad time. I'm not saying there isn't some good parts to it, but some of it's ridiculous in my opinion. Some of it's not. But then you've got, when we go to grow the economy, you got people that's stopping that. So it's a catch-22 situation for us. But look, I'm like John. And as far as the grades and stuff, the arguments that, listen, I got 9 grandchildren. 7 of them are either in this school system or have been through it. I think they got a great education.
Thank you.
Absolutely great education. I think they're all smart kids. You know, when kids go to school, a lot of them get what they put into it, is what they get out of it. And a lot of it's not the fault of the teachers or the system or the school buildings. It's whether you go there to learn, whether you don't. So we've all got, but the problem is the money for us makes this a very difficult situation. I wholeheartedly will support the idea of sending a harsh letter, itemizing why, telling them what's unfair about this project, and see what we get from it. And then we'll have to make up a decision to go there. But if we've got real serious health issues in that school, I mean, if we build a school, what would it take, 5 years before we move in it? 4 years?
About 18 months.
Yeah, about 18 months. So the plan right now, if we were to move forward and start construction in January, February, it would be done by August of 2027.
Really? Yep. Add about 90 days to that for change orders.
If it happens on time, that'd be the first thing government ever done in my
It won't be on
time.
time,
I was getting ready to say, I'll take that.
but the estimate's 18 months.
But it's not years out.
No,
It's
yeah.
really, I mean, it's a matter of, I mean, you could
If
say
it's
2 years.
18 months, it
right,
could be 2 years. That's
right?
Right. Before I just want to, if we write this letter, when we write this letter, what I would like to see is support from the school board. I mean, I'm not putting you guys on the spot right now, but I think that if we do that, that would even show.
A follow-up letter.
Or a joint letter.
Or a joint letter. I just think that would show the state that, you know, we're all in this, vested in this together and are, you know, willing to do. I just think that would be a little stronger.
Well, because one of the strongest opponents to that letter we're talking about sending, is going to be the teachers union. I mean, they're the ones that's very, very supportive of that blueprint, and they're going to take offense to it when we say we can't do all of it.
Doesn't mean that we're not going to do some.
Right, well, and
Absolutely.
I would just like to add just a little local clarity for that. While I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Fithian, or at the state level, our local teachers union, I found this year, you know, we had a challenging budget to work through. It's nothing new, right? They worked hand in hand with me in that process. And so I just would like to say, I agree, the state level teachers union is a powerhouse in Annapolis. But I also want to acknowledge that our local teachers union leadership and teachers work hand in hand with us, because they're living here with us, right? They understand that we have to figure out how to accomplish many things. And maybe we have to think about that in ways differently than we have in the past, whatever that different way is. Because if we keep doing what we're doing, we know where we're going to be. So I just thank you for letting me I just want to make sure our local teachers know that I acknowledge that they worked in partnership.
I wouldn't expect anything different out of them.
Yeah, they worked in good partnership with me this year through a really challenging budget. When we reduced, 36 teaching positions in one swoop, they were reasonable partners with me. And even our local UNISERV director, who's like the local state rep, worked in partnership with us. So I'd just like to acknowledge kind of, our local people versus the state. But the state teachers union is a very powerful force in Annapolis, I agree.
But in all the years that I've been sitting through these budgets and stuff, that with the discussion that you all and us had over your budget, I have had numerous teachers come up to me and say, thank you all very much for the working with Dr.
Thank you.
McComas.
Yeah.
And I've never had that in the past.
Well, thank you. I think it speaks to transparency. What I said to the teachers because I went to every school and explained everything about our budget, where we were, the solutions, just similar to what Mr. Price just did. Like, here it is. Here's what our options are. And here's the solution I'm working towards. What I said to them is, to me, transparency is an act of respect. It was important that they knew and understood, so that, because what I know as a leader is when people understand why we are doing things, it's easier to get everyone moving, as opposed to not respecting them in that way. So I'm so glad that our community said that to you, because I think it's true. That's why we work through it so well.
Numerous ones, and going out to the school with my grandson and stuff, I've run into a lot of them.
Yes.
And they come to me and said, it was really not, we listened to you to the meetings, I guess, and they said that we really appreciate what you all did working with Dr. McComas to keep from having to let more go than we really wanted to.
Right.
So they noticed that, and I think it pays off.
Thank you.
A good working relationship.
I agree. That's how we serve our community.
I'm not sure that I would, I probably think if worst case scenario and we don't get any further than we are now, I'm not sure that I would rule out the fact of doing something but with the old Wharton Elementary School and the vacant space in the high school. I think you could turn that, if it comes to that. That's just you got to have a follow-up plan. In a sense, it can't be one way or nothing. Because if the health issues in the middle school or what people say they are, then something's got to happen. But I wouldn't rule out the idea. I think for a whole lot less money, you could turn that elementary school into a stick of candy and put a couple grades in there, and no one will convince me that a school that's built for 1,500 people and has less than 500 in it can't find room for another 125 people. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I didn't believe it when Dr. Couch told me, and I don't believe it now. But using that vacant space and turning that elementary school into a nice little school again and putting a couple grades in there, I don't think is that far out of the realm of possibility, if we have to. But I'm willing to go with this letter. I've been actually wanting to write this letter for a whole lot of years, but this group is willing to do it. And I think because of the idea with the middle school has made us want to make that giant step to see what we can get from it. but I don't want to make any promises till we hear back from, I want to give that letter time to circulate and see what we get back from it.
I understand, we jump off one bridge at a time.
Yes.
Jump off one. And I think if, depending upon how this unfolds, who knows what other options might emerge, right? I know I'll offer something, one of the things I was wondering about, and don't need an answer, is could we, instead of do bond for the entire cost, partial cost? That's an option that we haven't discussed and haven't explored. But I think that comes back to we jump off one bridge at a time. So let's jump off this bold bridge as our next best step.
I have just another couple of other things I want to mention. After the meeting the other day, you asked a question on what the percentage looks like that the county could maybe handle. And when we left that meeting the other day, all of us know that we need to sit down with Pat Merritt, maybe at our next meeting, and go over the financial situation of the county to see what that number really looks like. And we actually thought about that when we all left the meeting. I also would like to, just, and I don't want to interfere with anything that Albert might want to offer, but he makes a good point. We're taking a bold step with this letter, and I know it's against the grain of Board of Eds and maybe superintendents from time to time to resist a little bit on the blueprint. But it might be helpful if, when we send this letter, that if the school board and the superintendent signed a letter indicating the same position of having to make a choice, I think it would go a long way. And I would encourage you to really give that some thought.
So I will
Now,
just.
we have plenty of time.
Right.
We have plenty of time to wait and see how they respond and see if we need to rethink that
Well,
approach.
As a superintendent, I'm very clear on the things that I think need to be reformed in the blueprint. And so I have no problem with that, and I've worked with the other superintendents so that I know the things that I think need to be reformed are not out in left field. I certainly can't speak for my whole board in terms of their letter, but I will follow up with that. So I don't want to make a commitment for 5 people who I'm not looking at right now.
I didn't want to put it in my own.
No, I know, but I certainly
looking
will
at
take
you,
that
though.
back and have a conversation, and I know I can speak immediately to the pieces of the blueprint that I believe need to be reformed that are not serving our children well, that for one reason or another have, again, theory to action, theory into practice doesn't always translate, so certainly I will follow up with my board on that.
Certainly your
And they're
decision.
here, so they will let me know. But I do appreciate getting a sense of what that number is. Because again, right now, it's like fighting in the fog of battle, right? It's hard to have a target when you can't see what the target is and you really don't know what it is. It's all theoretical at that point. So, and in those conditions, enough, like you never know when enough is enough, right? Like we get 15%, that's not good enough. We need 20 more percent, and still not good enough, So a clear target helps us achieve our goal. So I appreciate that. Go ahead, you're the board president.
We have not rehearsed this, so she may be looking at me saying, why the hell did you say that, Trish? But, so I'm just going to ask.
We'll say it.
Okay, just ask a couple of questions. So last week, I too walked away discouraged because all I heard was what the county couldn't do. So I would kind of like to reframe the question to say, what can the county do? So one of the things Dr. McCombs mentioned is if it's not a bond for, over 30 years, $2 million, can you do a little bit of that? I'm sitting here listening to just in the, government in general, so I don't want to make it Kent County, but government in general, pre-COVID, has been saying we can't afford, every government says we can't afford the blueprint. It's not just Kent County, and I heard our District 36 delegation say it at a pre-legislative breakfast, previous administration for you guys, at the Rock Hall Firehouse that we can't afford it, and then COVID came in. So there's always been this push that we can't afford it. I don't know how the board will respond when Dr. McComas asks us if we're willing to stick our neck out, so to speak, to co-sign or write our own letter, because I personally don't want this, a new middle school to be the real carrot that gets why we're sending this letter to the blueprint. About the blueprint. We could have made that argument all along, I feel like. I'm listening in just the last month of what might or might not happen to Wharton Elementary School. Initially, we were told that maybe the county was interested in Wharton Elementary School because maybe we'd moved the Board of Elections there. Okay, so I went out with Dr. McComas and Mr. Price one day, Shelley was there, Jim Bish was there, Mr. Fithian came later, and we were looking at the things that needed to be done to that building, just to say that no matter what goes in there, it's a new roof, okay? So you estimate $2 million, so that's $2 million for that. And then if you're going to make it, let's say we go with one of the other options, and we're going to make it for the 6th and 7th grade, it's gonna have to be extensive renovations. Among other things, you have to put a gym in there. That school, that's one of the reasons Millington and Wharton were closed, they don't have gyms, so there's that. So I don't know what that would end up being, the $2 million for the new roof and the other renovations. And if part of the plan also is then we're going to make the renovations to the high school to get an 8th grade academy, that's a couple more $1 million. So I'm starting to think about if we don't take out the full bond and we take out half a bond, there's some money that maybe we can afford, $2 million for a roof, more for Wharton Elementary School, more for the high school, that adds up to a couple more $1 million. I was looking at the final budget, I think I read it correctly, for the end of fiscal year 2024, which is last year. It's a bad word to say, but I'm curious about what the county's fund balance is. I read a figure of 14 million. So fund balance for the county is the same thing as fund gap balances for a school system, which is a one-time thing. Is there a couple of $1 million in that could be a one-time put aside? Instead of looking for, 2.5 million over 20 years, or whatever, I'm looking to sort of get a little pot of money that the school system could say, I'm gonna throw just a minimal figure and say, okay, you know what, they're committing 10 million to that. So that takes the 64 million down. We've got to figure out how we're gonna find 54 million. And then if the state gives us the 8 million, that takes us down to 40 some. I'm just trying to figure out what we need to do to get that middle school built in case, don't be offended by this, we can't count on anybody else. Because we are absolutely committed, to having a new middle school built. Yes, it would be a very bold statement for you guys to send that letter, and I would be shocked if not every other county got behind you and say, we're gonna do the same thing, and then the state's got to revolt and they're gonna have to figure out what they do. I just want to say that, and 500,000 doesn't, in our fund balance, doesn't compare to maybe 14 million you have in yours. But our school board, for our very, we're cash strapped. We took our own bold statement in June or May and it was a divided board. It was a 3-2 vote. We took our own very bold statement to basically liquidate our fund balance with the quasi-assurance that you were our fund balance. So, I just want to go on the record to saying that we are thinking about every darn thing we can do to make this happen. And I don't want this to be an adversarial relationship. I don't feel that it is. I feel like Dr. McComas has opened so many doors without being disrespectful to administrations on either side in the past. But I feel that we are unified in this. I just thought Dr. McComas's point about this really is the jumping off point in the sense, either we're going to invest in our future and our kids' education or we're not, because what happens with this middle school, I think, will be the penultimate statement about how we feel about our young people and what's going to become of Kent County. So we have not talked about this at all. She's probably saying, what the hell are you saying?
That's speaking the truth.
All of these things have happened. One other thing to throw into there, which could be savings from the school system's budget every year, which ultimately is a savings as to what we come to ask you for, is Wharton Elementary School also has the potential of becoming the central office. So if we ever can get out of there, that's also a savings. So there's a lot of moving parts. I feel like we all are taking a leap of faith, but ultimately, I feel like the school system, the one thing I know the school system, Kent County Public Schools can count on is Kent County Public Schools. We can count on the 5 people that are sitting at the board that are making the decisions, that we have the luxury that you don't have. We have the luxury of being selfish, that every decision we make is being made for our students. I recognize that you have a much broader responsibility. You can't own, if all you had to worry about was making our 1,630 kids happy, this would be an easy job. I do totally recognize that, but again, we've got a much narrower focus. So if we don't seem as flexible as we should be, it's because we were elected.
That's your
to look
job.
after Kent County
That's your
Public
job.
School. That's
Absolutely.
our job.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to,
And
I'm just saying that.
you have made a very astute observation. We did end the year FY '24 with a higher than ever before fund balance. And the vast majority of that was set aside. It was reserved in our we ended FY '25. We set aside the vast majority of that in FY '26 for capital improvements, with knowing that we have some big capital improvements to include the roof at Wharton Elementary School and/or what other renovations, and there are.
Regardless of whatever we do with that building.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
I think we all agree that that roof needs to be replaced
Yeah,
to,
because no matter what, otherwise that
take care of that
will
building.
ultimately be
Right.
demolition by neglect.
So I imagine a fair amount of that money will be spent in one shape or form on Kent County Public School buildings. We have a couple of other big projects on the horizon as well, and when we go to the bond market, it's probably going to be for a couple of projects, not just one. But I also would like to point out that the commissioners raised income tax this year from 3.3, which had been the previous cap, or 3.2 to 3.3. And the reason for that is to set those funds aside exclusively for the middle school. So we're looking to see in this coming year a new revenue stream of approximately $225,000. And these folks here, they said as they passed the budget, that money is set aside exclusively for whatever this looks like moving forward, those capital improvements.
And part of the reason, I just want to go on the record, I never wanted to sit in this seat and raise taxes, but I learned the first year when we went to Annapolis, when we were starting this conquest for the school, one of the first things some of the delegates said was, you obviously don't need money, you decreased your taxes, and/or you didn't raise them to where?
By 1 penny.
By 1 penny. So when we were given the opportunity, I don't know which one of it, we said, if we do this, let's do it so that they can't say that to us when we go to Annapolis again this year,
That's
like
right.
we're planning on doing. And
And-
not.
and
give-
designate it
And designate it
for this
exclusively to the school. So that's why we chose
To increase it, correct. So every time we go to Annapolis, they ask that, well, or any jurisdiction goes, they say,
Right.
if you don't max at the highest income tax level, that's what they point to. So the state passed down so many mandates onto us this year that we have never had, and they said, but you can raise your income tax. Which is kind of a double-edged sword there. It's not a blessing to raise your income tax, but to show the state that we were willing to do that, with the caveat that here at the county, at Kent County, we're going to earmark that for a particular project. Now they can't say we haven't raised our income tax. So I don't know how many of the jurisdictions actually did that, because the previous max had been 2.2. They allowed us the flexibility to raise it to 3.3. I'm curious to know how many jurisdictions actually did that. But we feel very strongly at the county level that by doing that and showing the community what the intention is with that money, that it's not the worst thing.
So to sort of highlight the meeting, I think what we're leaving with is that we're going to write this letter, the county is at least, and
I'll follow up with my board.
Explain, yes, and you'll let us know whether they're going to support the letter or not, and then we'll send that to everybody, the people we think need to hear it, and we'll see what response we get from that.
Sounds good, and I will, just to reiterate what I said the other day, I'm in the process of coordinating through the Delegate Grice, his Chief of Staff Jackson, is coordinating a meeting for us to meet with IAC. I want to thank the opportunity to meet with the Secretary of the IAC as well, who lives here in Kent County, have reached out and have a date set to meet with her in August as well. And so I'll continue to move forward on those pieces on our end. We'll continue to work with the architects around the design and engineering process. And we'll take one bold step for Kent County kids.
And we make it very clear that, as well as yourself, but this Board of Commissioners is fully supportive of building the middle school if we can make the numbers work. That's what it boils down to.
And I'm going to come back, whatever that, I need to know what that number is. Because I know we keep coming around that. I'm going to keep coming back to it.
You need that, we all need that.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
honestly,
I would
Clarity,
envision that.
we need a target.
That we need to we need to jump over the fence one way or the other by sometime in September at the latest. So, I mean, we have a little bit of time, but we don't have a lot of time. In order to make this official on the letter, I'm going to make a motion, but before I do, I listened to what Trish said, and I respect what Trish said, but I would encourage you to take the bold step also. And, you know, it may not come to that, but I think it would be very worthy if we could show that not only are the commissioners saying this, but our school board members, elected school board members, you know, and everyone else in the community that believes in this is actually behind this movement in this direction. So I just throw it out there. I'm not saying you're wrong one way or the other, because you haven't made your mind up probably at this point, but I would encourage you, and I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but please give it some serious consideration. Because I think we're stronger in numbers than if, you know, but anyhow.
Before you make a motion, I think Mr. Queen has.
Yes.
It's to your point about the letter. I agree with kind of everything that's being said today. I think we all on the same page about the issue. For me, I'm speaking for me, I still would like to debrief with my board and my superintendent, and maybe even legal representation on some of the things we discussed on how we can proceed forward. But I will say what the county attorney said is very, very prevalent and should be the main thought of that letter, because if you commit to one, your contract or under contract have to do it, but the other one is legally. The thing with the letter is, I do think it's bold, and the one thing I think out that middle school meeting came is more thinking. This is the more thought process I've seen with this whole school, public school and county commissioner relationship in the last 15 years. I know Fithian brought up some of the organizations in the past. They don't speak for Kent County Public Schools, and they don't speak for the Board of Ed. The previous superintendent, we can all agree to a certain degree, Dr. McComas is a fresh breath of air for us all. I just think with the letter, it's bold, yes, but for me, and I'll say this in front of everybody, it's not calculated enough, because I have to look as an elected official, to her points, for the school system. It's still, the school system isn't assured anything, and we get nothing from the letter. With the letter, I would say, have you all spoke to any other counties about their share, and how did they get an increase, and what things they might have done? I do agree with the wealth scenario that needs to go into the letter, but that bold letter just coming out now is like almost definitely $2.5 to $3 million too late, and almost 10 to 15 years late, because this process has been ongoing for years. So I would just say with the letter, I do like the idea of the letter, and I do like the idea of galvanized support behind that. But I think our superintendent, the community, and commissioners as well, we've been doing our proactive fight for our public school systems nonstop for me, with the letter, it has to be a calculated move that benefits our public school system, because that's ultimately why we're here. We're here for the public school system. The administration and the budget, that's on you all. We're sitting on this side for the public school system. So that letter has to speak to getting us some clear and defined solutions. And then I will be, very, very supportive of that. Right now, just hearing this first cuff, I'm not saying I'm reluctant, but I'm saying it's not enough for me to walk away with. The ideas and conversation that we're having are great, and it's getting things moving. But for me, I need to hear some concrete things on what the county is going to do for the public school systems for our support. I think we've shown great faith moving forward that we support you all, we trust what you all are going to do, but I have to see more things. Now, I agree with everything that's been discussed, the taxes, the people being left out, the school where we need it, but for me, I need reassurance with that letter that it's going to move. Because right now, it's just a letter campaign, and we've just done 3 years of letter campaigns.
Well, I can't provide you with any reassurances because I don't know whether it's going to fall on deaf ears or not. And the other thing is we're saying that we're going to have to make a choice. We haven't officially made that choice yet. In other words, we're putting them on notice that we may have to make that difficult choice. And who knows, maybe we won't have to. But I want to put them on notice and in hopes of engaging them in a more in-depth conversation that will be positive for the funding level. I don't want anybody to think that it's a false threat, that, what we're saying, because it could become a reality if we had to make that choice. And that's going to be a decision that's going to be made by the three of us. And your level of funding, you can spend it however you want to spend it. But, whatever we give you, I'm going to call it maintenance of effort instead of blueprint money. That's your job. That's the superintendent's job and your job. And if the state wants to hold us accountable for our decision, then so be it. But so it's not a false threat by sending this letter, but it's not time to make that official decision yet either. My hope is that communication opens up, and with that communication, maybe somebody has some extra dollars that they can give to Kent County to help soften the load on our taxpayers. I hear you too. And if I was sitting in your chair as an elected school board member, and I'm not, and don't want to be, I understand your vision, your responsibility. And I hope you understand our vision and our responsibility, which is to not burden our taxpayers, overburden our taxpayers, and still fulfill our governmental obligations to fund our public schools and the other county organizations and operations. So, anybody else have anything?
We understand that,
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. Frank, you have something?
I'd like just to say one quick thing, is that I'm 100% behind what Dr. McCombs is doing. She is just doing a wonderful job. I know we all support her as a team. We need that middle school, and I'm for moving the board office out of Rock Hall to the middle school or to the elementary school, because we don't need that expense anymore. And that's all I have to say. We need this new school, and I'm hoping that we can come together and make it work.
I heard this a couple of times today already about the expense of the central office being in Rock Hall. What type of expense are you talking about?
We've got the building there, we can get out of there, we don't have to, we have all those offices, and the county can probably use it for something, I'm sure.
I would like the superintendent to give clarity on that, on the expense of central office building.
Well, I don't want to blow smoke up anybody's rear end, so I just have time to get the research. I'm a straightforward person here. I mean, certainly, there's things like utilities,
Electric heat,
electric,
that's what most of the cost of central office is. There's not, at this point, it is. That's correct.
Okay. So
You're the
that's
first person who's been able to answer that. I've asked everyone that. You're the first person to answer that.
My understanding is that we have been in that building long enough.
That's one obstacle that doesn't keep us there.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's no restriction to have a.
That's my understanding.
Educational.
My understanding is we've been in that building long enough to fulfill our obligation of when we took over that building, essentially.
Well, I think it would be good to know exactly what the cost would be to move it, number one, because there's a lot of IT stuff that goes on there, infrastructure. And
I can tell you that we spent $500,000 to put them in that building.
for infrastructure.
When they moved out of,
Chestertown.
when you were,
Whatever, yeah.
when they went to Rock Hall, that was Rock Hall Elementary, and when they moved there, the county spent $500,000 making it into office space.
Yeah.
And moving in whatever, getting it ready for the Board of Ed. Now, whether it would cost that much, you're gonna have, if in fact you were to use Wharton Elementary School, you're gonna have to spend something in there making an office space out of those classrooms. So you got that. There's no doubt that the county could use that building and put places, wherever we're paying rent at, we could put in there, and there could be some benefit there. What's that?
The town of Rock Hall could be a tenant. I mean, they're looking for.
And we can also put people in there that's gonna pay to be there.
Yeah.
Question would be, when we took over Millington Elementary School, when that was surplus, we had to pay some money back to the state from
Correct.
state funding.
But his saying that we've met our obligation.
So that's.
I believe that's accurate.
That's accurate, so we would not have to pay anything back to the
I
state.
do not believe I believe Mr. Kirby is correct, that we are outside the window.
It
So
was
my-
approximately 15 years ago, give or take a year or two. I think it was 15, 17 years now.
It's probably been
So it's
that
been a good
long.
while.
My priority would be, let's address the new school first. And in the meantime, and while we're doing everything else that we do in our daily lives, that we really look at what kind of cost savings, if any, it would be to move to the Wharton Elementary School. And maybe how much revenue, if we can project how much revenue that might generate by having a building that we could lease office space in for folks that are looking for it. And
Can I
that,
add one thing? It'll be more centrally located, the community, more of the community, I think, could be able to go to Wharton. Rock Hall's way out of the way, and I think we would get a lot of support. Parents and people could come there, and they wouldn't have as long of a drive. That's just my opinion.
well, I think the location is perfect for the central office. It's right there by the high school, which makes it very easy to be there if you need to be. Plus, it makes it easy for the citizens.
But all I'm saying is I'd be a little hesitant to get rid of it anytime, and until we figure out where we're moving with this middle school.
I agree. I think one thing at a time.
Yes.
One thing at a
There's
time.
a lot of moving
It is a lot
parts,
of-
that's all I'm saying.
Doesn't hurt to start
That it's,
research.
And they're related, it's not like we can only take care of the middle school.
Right.
It's connected to something else, which is
I agree,
connected
yeah,
to something
exactly.
else.
Yeah. Mr. Wall has a comment.
Mike?
I know you're gonna have open comment, Mike, later, but while the Board of Ed and everyone is here, I like John like a brother from another mother, but I have to disagree with him here. If you take a look at the total history of what has transpired with trying to fund the middle school, going all the way back, we've had three pieces of legislation that have been brought forth to the General Assembly to change the ratio. That's 3 pieces of legislation. I remember Jeff sitting at that chair right over there saying, "We got this. I'm friends with Barnes. We're gonna get this through." right? And he's probably said it multiple times. And the damn legislation hasn't made it out of committee. It's not for a lack of effort from the county commissioners, because they're working with the District 36 guys in order to get the legislation to change the ratio. We're now at an impasse, and Ron is absolutely correct. In the back of the minds of everybody in the General Assembly over there, that goes for Barnes, that goes for Guzone, who are chairs of the Appropriations Committee, Ferguson and Jones, you take a look at it and they're all sitting back and saying, wait a minute, they've got the mindset that Kent County is a wealthy county, which we have tried to numerous times to explain that we're not. And proof positive is the wealth formula spreadsheet. And yet, we had sent a letter, correct me if I'm wrong, but you sent a letter to Ferguson and he didn't even give you the respect of a response. So where do we go?
I mean, once again, I don't think we are disagreeing on the issues. That's a county commissioner job you're articulating. I just said from a board of ed perspective how I feel in my elective duty for my public school system. Whatever they're willing to do, I know we're going to support it some way, shape, or fashion. What has happened in the past, and that's the thing, a lot of what we're talking about is what we're used to doing, and that's the issue. We're used to just saying, here's the hill, and it's too steep to run up. Let's just stay down at the bottom and look at the top of the mountain. At some point, all of us in this county have to make a concerted effort for real change, substantial change. Now, what that looks like is an ongoing discussion. I think we should just stick with Dr. McComas and the county, Dr. McComas and the county commissioner said thus far, jump off the first bridge, and that's the middle school. If the middle school starts with the county writing a bond letter, which I don't think is a bad idea, that's where we start. I think getting in the nuances of money and taxes and X's and O's, it still makes what we're trying to do. So I don't disagree with that. I just have an elected duty to my constituents, and most importantly, which I think we forget in this conversation, the students, which are the youth in the future, not only of this county, but of society. I think that's where my bread is buttered, so to speak, and I think that's where I put a lot of my energy into. So whatever the county commissioners feel like they need to do, I'm going to support it the best way I can.
Amen.
All right.
Let's wrap
Enough
this up.
said. We'll get a letter, and we would certainly, once we get a letter put together and we get in it what we want, we'll make sure you get a copy of it and see it, and you can do with it what you want, or look at it when any changes or whatever.
Make an airplane out of it.
Yes, sir.
Before we send it off, certainly you'll have an opportunity to look at it as well.
Will you send your letter, I'm questioning, is your letter being sent contingent on what the board does? What if the board, I have no idea because this was new.
If you
The
decide to
letter's
remain
probably
on.
going to go one way or the other, with or without your
That's what I was
support.
wondering. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, whatever you all decide to do is,
independent of,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
but I do think there's power in numbers. But anyhow, so to make it official, I'd like for staff to draft a letter, which I know Shelley and I discussed yesterday morning. Some of the, I actually shared my notes with her of some of my ideas and anything else that my colleagues would want to put in there. Putting the state basically on notice that the blueprint funding of $2.5 million may not be something that the county can afford, and that we have to make a choice due to the health concerns and the condition of the current Kent County Middle School. We are contemplating building a school and foregoing the blueprint funding. Doesn't mean that we're not going to fund our school system to a certain level, but it won't be $2.5 million.
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Dr. McComas, we still got a great deal of respect for you, and you're doing a great job, and I'm thrilled that you're here.
Thank you very much. Onward and upward, friends, so.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board members.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. That prevents me from having to repeat everything.
I think that kind of brings us to the public comment.
It does.
At this time, this brings us to public comment period, if anybody would like to address the county. Mike?
Personally, I don't think you can leave anything off the table. Nothing, no option. The more options you have, the better off you're going to be. I have spoken to you guys privately, one-on-one, about the strength of the AIB, the Accountability and Implementation Board for the blueprint, how powerful that is. There was a period of time where the State Department of Education and the AIB were literally going in separate ways, and within the past week, there was a memorandum of understanding, an MOU between the two organizations, that they're going to be essentially focused on the blueprint. What Tom said about it being a mandate, and it's legislation, looking at, from a business perspective, looking at all of the variables that can happen here, I sit back and I say to myself, could the AIB make Kent County an example here so that no other county tries this? I mean, you have to take a look at all of the possibilities that can happen here. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist. From my business experience, I've always taken a look and try to educate my guys to look at the worst case scenario and build a plan for the worst case scenario. If the worst case scenario doesn't happen, well, hell, then you're way ahead of the curve. All right? And all I'm saying is here, what is the worst case scenario that can happen? This thing blows up in our face.
Well, let me just say, I don't know that we're ready to draw that line yet. This letter may very well be written to make statements, letting people know the situation it's putting the people of Kent County in. And not being able to build a new middle school that's desperately needed, and it's causing all that. It'll be in the wording. I mean, I don't think we're sending it there saying this, we're drawing a line in the sand.
We have time.
We're going to just see what kind of response we get.
I do have a plan.
I know. What I know. But what I would also suggest is inserting in there the financial implication for the county taxpayer. That if you take a look at the blueprint and using Pat's formula, not mine, but let's use Pat's, at a $13,300,000 cost over the implementation period, you're looking at a 38-cent increase in the real estate tax to pay for that. You put on top of that what the funding of the middle school would be. You're basically looking at a 50% increase in the real estate tax rate over the period of time of the implementation of the blueprint. That's astronomical.
Yeah.
Yes, that cannot be afforded. Yes, it's just so bad in so many ways and on so many different levels. I'm offering a suggestion here that you add in some numbers here because the Moore administration likes to work on data, but put in some data points in there that show the numbers, that show the financial impact and why it's not affordable. In addition to the wealth formula, which they all read, they just want to ignore. It's a terrible situation here, and I commend you guys and I commend the board. And you're right, the more signatures on that letter, the better, the more impact it would have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Smith, you got your name on the sign-up sheet?
Well, now, good afternoon, Territory Commissioners. I don't want to take up much of your time. Just listening to the conversation that's been going on here today is something that occurred to me, and I'm sure it's going to occur to you guys. I just wanted to bring it up. You had mentioned asking the Board of Education to co-sign or write a letter supporting the letter to the state regarding the blueprint. Part of the oath of office for those Board of Education members is that they swear to uphold the laws of the state of Maryland. By asking them to write a letter that shows some enthusiasm for going in the other direction seems to be an open invitation to the state to come in and take over the Board of Education. Writing that letter, I feel, would be asking them to support a policy that is in contradiction of their oath. Just a thought.
We take pretty much that same oath.
Right, but that's your choice to make those consequences. I don't know if it's at all possible for the state to come in.
Obviously, their choice whether they sign on it or not.
Please let me finish. I don't know whether it's possible for the state to come in and take over a county government. I have no idea about that at all. I do know it's possible for the state to come in and take over a local board of education when they have decided that they are not executing their responsibility. So I can't speak to your part at all. It's just my interest in the Board of Education has acted as a catalyst for me to explore how that works legally. And I'm aware that the state can take over a BOE. Just something to keep in mind. And that's all I had to say.
The only thing I would like to maybe say to you is that this is July. If we were to refuse to fund the blueprint, we got almost a whole year to negotiate and communicate to decide whether or not we really want to move in that direction. And they do too. So I don't see that there's any harm in firing the warning shot or the concern that what might be coming in hopes of engagement of communication with our state leadership.
My hopes is that they read the letter and they understand the implications it has on the Eastern Shore, which I'm not sure they think too often about, but, and that maybe something good would come out of that. We're not close to drawing the line in the sand yet. We're just, this letter's our last ditch effort to reach out to the people in charge and ask them to take a look at the situation.
I understand that, and I understand that your motivation for trying to get people to sign on to that philosophy that you're espousing is to try and show that there is a weight of enthusiasm behind that course of action and it's supported by your constituency. My concern is, having come from government work myself, that if I saw an organization that had signed a letter that said, we are endorsing a course of action that is contrary to our oath of office, it would seem like an invitation to remove them from that office. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying, yes.
Right,
sure.
so that's the danger of, like, I understand you want to get people behind you, but the danger of asking the school board to get behind you is you're asking them to commit to something that's contrary to their oath, and the county, the state might take that as, okay, you're abdicating your authority to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then may we have a closed session? Thank you all for coming in.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session under the Annotated Code of Maryland, General Provisions, Article 3-305B7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and before a contract is awarded or bids are open, to discuss a matter directly related to negotiating strategy or the contents of a bid or proposal if public discussion or disclosure would adversely impact the ability of the public body to participate in the competitive bidding proposal process. The request, we plan to discuss a proposal process regarding the acquisition of land and to obtain legal advice regarding the process.
Second.
Motion and second to go into closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye.